Like, Batman can be doing more. He can be more effective. He can do a lot more. He just needs to let go of a bit of the control that he exerts over Gotham and his own life. But he's not good at letting go of that kind of control. So,
about a week ago, new Batman writer James Tynion released his mission statement for his Batman series that follows Tom King's run. For those who haven't read it, a link is in the video description. With me today to discuss it is Thinking Criticl's resident Batman expert, Corban from Frank Caliendo's Comic Playground podcast. Corban, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Wes. Thanks for having me on. Excited to talk some Batman, this new run that we got coming on, this new future.
Yeah, I'm excited to talk about it too. So not too long ago, we looked back at Tom King's Batman run and kind of talk about where it ran off the rails. But King's Batman is about to be a thing of the past. It's time to stop looking backwards. It's time to start looking forward to Tynion's Batman. You ready for this?
You know what? I am.
So yeah, speaking about the mission statement, I just want to talk about some of the points. The first point is about Batman. He says, every page of every issue should feel like an action horror superhero comic. The monsters should feel deadly and frightening, and Batman should feel frightening in and of himself. The villains of Gotham fear him, and he is going to take that fear and wield it like a weapon to get a city back under control. What do you think about this approach to Batman?
Honestly, it's kind of refreshing. A little different than how I imagine Batman. Obviously, fear being a great weapon that he uses regularly, but also just his interpretation of how the rogues gallery is going to be and how he's going to wield that fear to control and to use it in that way. I guess that is pretty much one of the bigger concepts of Batman, is using his persona, his weaponry, everything as a weapon, using that fear as a weapon. But I didn't know it was such a prevailing or pervasive like theme there. But I do like it, having had King's Run where we have not seen a lot of that at all. And so maybe to have a little bounce back to something where, okay, action horror, I'm going to give it a little bit of time before I really understand where he's going with that. The horror element is there, but I don't know if it's as deep as just spilling action horror. I would never describe Batman as just that. However, it is something that is a big part of Batman. And we've had a run that has not been heavy on a whole lot of action. The horror element has been more in the writing style than in anything else. And that is going to be interesting and refreshing to kind of go to a different side of Batman. As long as we don't lean totally into a Michael Bay like movie-esque Batman all the time at the risk of introspective thinking and writing and deep deep delving into characters, and that's a lot of what Batman is, understanding him and his psyche and the characters he interacts with on his side and on the rogues gallery. So as long as we're not spilling too deep onto just explosions and monsters and boom, I think it's something to look forward to. I really do.
Yeah, it's interesting because in King's Run, almost all the horror is psychological, and it's almost all put on Batman rather than him putting on other people. So I do like the change in direction, and whereas Batman is no longer going to be the victim here, and maybe going out and instilling some fear in other people. So later on in the mission statement, Tynion explains his take on Batman. The scary thing with Batman, even the villains who have fought him over and over across the decades, is that they know under the suit he's just a man. To the bad guys, Batman is like Michael Myers. He keeps getting up when it shouldn't be possible to get up anymore. And how can you win against him? You'd be crazy to even try. Do you think criminals see Batman, as the ultimate boogeyman?
That's interesting. I think that is a big part of his mythos. I mean, being seemingly gone, killed, trapped with the odds all stacked against him, and Batman somehow finding a way to turn the tables and take himself, his team, his city, his people to victory. I don't know what the fear is. It's more of like a puzzlement by the villains. They don't go, oh, we can't try against this guy, he can't come back. No, it's more of, why doesn't he stay dead? Why can't he stay gone? And it's that cycle. They continue, more elaborate traps. They're determined to off Batman off, that the legend of him that keeps coming back is there. So I don't know, maybe the Halloween Michael Myers is more of an accurate depiction than even I realized, because I think Michael Myers, great fear, like, oh my God, like, get away from here, give me the heck out of here, like that sort of fear. Where from Batman's Rose Gallery, yes, there's an element of fear involved. There's several times where Batman's caught an explosion or seemingly defeated and somehow finds a way out. So I'm sure there's a, wow, this guy isn't human. Oh my goodness, who can stop him? But doesn't stop the villains from trying. And so as long as that's not something that's going to be an element of just every, villain from Joker to Freeze to Poison Ivy just cowering in fear of Batman all the time, then I think we'll be fine. I think that element is there. He does it all the time as part of what makes Batman Batman.
So do you think this is maybe him kind of incorporating maybe that weird feel from I Am Legend, where the Will Smith character, or in the book, I think his name's Neville.
Mm-hmm.
In the end, the bad guys in the book actually completely fear him because he's the legend. It was kind of a juxtaposition. Is that how you think he's talking about it?
You know what, I do, only because of his earlier comments of making an action horror story. Like, if you're going to have some of the horror element there and it's not going to be tied on Batman himself, then it has to be redirected to a rogues gallery. And I think that is the way in which it would be. You have these scenarios where clearly he looks gone, back against the wall, going through the wall, and somehow he finds a way to come back. And I think that fear element, like you described from I Am Legend, is going to be pervasive throughout Tynion's book. And maybe, hopefully, that is the horror element that we'll be dealing with. I would like that side more, maybe even more horror from seeing who the villains are and describing them not only physically, like I'm thinking of someone like Clayface, but also emotionally, like what makes certain characters tick that we know are damaged, but are also great threats, not only to Batman, but to themselves and Gotham as a whole. So if that horror element slides more like you're saying, I definitely agree. And I think that it will, to be honest with you. I really am hopeful that Tynion has that set on the right track. But because he's made horror such a big part of this action Batman story he's going to be doing, I think it kind of has to be.
All right, so let's talk about some of the downer stuff he got into. It's confirmed Alfred's dead. Tynion talked about how this is going to change, how that's going to change the character of Batman. The last vestiges of his more conservative style would have gone out the window with the death of Alfred Pennyworth. With him, he would have dressed a bit more like his father. Without Alfred, Bruce is more pure practicality. He wears black. So does Selina. They go to a different type of Gotham City gala. The old money Gotham is corrupt and broken. Instead, Bruce goes to the young money of the city to help finance its reconstruction. So Alfred's death was always going to affect Bruce in some way. It was going to be meaningful and permanent. But this isn't exactly the change I was expecting. Does this sit well with you?
Not at all. I was hoping that we'd move more to Batman and the Bruce Wayne persona being two separate, distinct personalities as we're used to. Because I think that juxtaposition of Batman, the guy of the night, and Bruce Wayne, who he is during the day, who he is, and that battle of who Bruce Wayne really is, or who is he? Is he really Batman? Is he really Bruce Wayne? I think that is extremely compromised by having Selina Kyle more of a regular featured character in this, because she crosses the lines of both and she grounds Bruce Wayne into more of a character that we're not used to seeing. I think part of the journey of Bruce Wayne settling down is that eventually we know that he's not going to be able to balance the two, that it's impossible for him to balance the two, having a relationship and becoming Batman. So having this alternate storyline, yeah, I guess that's great because you have Batman and whatever adventures and struggles he's having throughout the regular story. And then you also have this backdrop of what Bruce Wayne is going to be doing on the side. And I'm sure those stories will come together, and form one coherent story. However, I am concerned about having a secondary character like Catwoman, especially seeing how she was portrayed in King's Run and also who she is as a character on her own, and having those two continue a journey together. It just seems really, really odd. And I think it needs to be handled with a certain deftness that I'm sure Tynion has. I really like Tynion's writing style. I just don't see the need for it, especially so early. I think you should reestablish Batman, and then if you feel that Selina has to be involved, then you work her into it. But establishing her and him as like an item and moving forward, I don't know. I'm not exactly at all excited about that at all.
Or, are you excited that she's essentially replacing Alfred and that's causing changes with him where he's going away from the old city of Gotham and into the younger, new money, and those kind of changes?
Well, that's even worse to me because I don't think that Alfred represented that. I mean, it seemed like Bruce was free to kind of go, wherever. I see that Selina being a bridge, but of all of the Bat family, why would you go to Selina as the bridge from Alfred to Bruce's continued life without him. That makes zero sense to me and seems very forced, extremely forced. And even if she was, she was an item with Bruce, that still would not be her role. Knowing her history, knowing where she's at, knowing how her and Bruce vibe together, that's not what she's there for. I would go to other members of the Bat Family, established members of the Bat Family that you'll be using in this run. I mean, there's so many that you can go from that would seem to form a better bridge, to say the least. I mean, some of them you could do younger if you're doing Robin or Nightwing or any of them, and having Bruce be like a mentor, but them being someone that shows him something, or other members of the family. There's a bunch of people. There's a plethora of people that could have been chosen for that role that I think would have fit so much more cleanly than Selina will. It just seems odd and forced, and I don't know how I like that at all. I'm going to give it a chance to wait and see, but I'm not excited about the prospects.
So he goes into a little bit more depth about Bruce's relationship with Selina in the mission statement. He expands on the changes Bruce's relationship with Selina bring the character's writing to the character writing. With Selina on his arm, the Playboy Bruce is dead. Is the billionaire Playboy an essential part of the Bruce Wayne character?
Yes, it is. I don't understand why people want to change the wheel in that front. That is Batman. Playboy, it's really a front to establish who he truly is as Batman. He tries to settle down multiple times with different people he feels he loves, and he realizes that he loves being Batman. And this is my take, loves being Batman more, or in some cases cannot separate the mission from his own life, always putting the mission before himself. The Playboy is a front, but it's also truly what he is, because he can't settle down. Like, that is kind of what makes Bruce and what makes Batman on those two separate ends. So the fact that you're killing the Playboy, yes. I mean, I can see if there's like an Elseworlds tale or some other world story that maybe this could work. Maybe this could definitely work. But this is the definitive Batman run, not definitive, but this is the Batman run moving forward. No, it's not. It's not going to work. Batman, Bruce Wayne is that Playboy billionaire. We already know this. Like, this has been established for 80 years, and it's not something that just goes away like that. And I can't even remember a run that, okay, yes, I can, that tried to establish Bruce as anything other than that. But it's just, look how clunky and bad that was. Like, that's not Bruce. That's the thing I'm probably most fired up about. Like, don't say, oh, that Playboy is dead, when it's like saying, oh, I don't know, Batman's costume's gone. Like, now he'll serve Batman from Bruce Wayne's disguise, or something outlandish and nonsensical like that. Like, it makes zero sense to me.
So, the final thing Tynion addresses are the effects City of Bane has on his Batman story. He says he just faced tremendous failure in the last year of story. He lost his city and lost his way. And now that he's back, he has almost a manic intensity. He's going to fix things. He's going to make it so nobody like Bane can ever do this to the city again. Do you see this resulting in Bruce maybe losing it a bit and maybe going too far trying to save Gotham?
I think that would be a great story element. If so, I would definitely like to see that, because you're right. After being broken and the loss of a lot in City of Bane, he has to overcompensate. Now he has to make sure this never happens again, which in my mind, to go back to the Selina run, would involve closing off people, making walls to build, to make himself stronger, to focus on himself and how he can better protect the mission and the city. So I could see that spilling. I would hope to see that spilling into more of a possibly negative direction, because he is making all these oversights and paranoid in a way to really make sure that something like that doesn't happen again to him, not on his watch, that he shuts out everything and everyone around him and maybe misses sight of bigger things that are incoming, or sneakier threats that are rising through the cracks. That would be the hope of mine. I think it'll be more balanced out, just because he's going to have this situation now where he's going to make sure that this never happens again. At the same time, there's going to be an item, and also discovering or investigating some new different element of Gotham City. It could be a few different story elements that need to be tied together, and I think that Tynion will do that, but maybe at the expense of fully exploring one of them. However, I would really hope that that does happen, because that is a perfect example to me, almost like absolute power corrupts, in the sense that Bruce isn't seeking power in that vein. He's only doing it in the interest of Gotham, in the interest of protecting his people. However, you put that single-minded focus on making sure it doesn't happen to you again, you forget what goes around. And I think that that will be a great element to kind of really dig into and explore and flesh out a little bit And we'll see if Tynion lets that develop.
Yeah, so I think it would be really interesting if one of the ways he explored the death of Alfred and the removal of him from his life is Bruce has lost that groundedness, to reality, and maybe it becomes City of Bat, and he goes too far, and maybe turns Gotham into a police state, and the Robins have to kind of come in and save him, from himself.
Ooh, I like that.
I think that would be really cool. I don't think he's going to do it.
No, but cooking West, that's a good one.
that would be like the perfect way to get away from City of Bay and do something interesting and really make Alfred's death really meaningful, because that's not what happened in City of Bay. They missed the mark by a mile. But
oh my goodness,
if losing that character when he finally comes in and clears Gotham out, he makes it just as bad by being a psychopathic, because he lost that groundedness to him. Oh, that would be cool.
That would be. Wow, you just got me excited now, Wes. Hopefully we see it sometime. You got to get up to DC and make some noise over there. Let's get a story that way.
So, before I let you go, we went through a lot of information here in a pretty quick amount of time. Reading the mission statement, there's more to it. If the viewers go and read up, there's more to it than we just talked about. Are you excited for Tynion's run? I
am excited. All things considered, I'm definitely seeing some things that mildly alarm me, but I'm willing to give it a chance. I've liked his writing. I read a lot of his run on Detective Comics, and I really enjoyed it. And I think that he does a great job of not exploring different characters, which he does a decent job of, but also giving them their voice and making it different. And as you read their stories, you can kind of get a feel of what they would do, not just based off the history that you may have reading wise with that character, but just the way that Tynion writes that character. And I think that is a great sign of a writer, to be able to kind of touch in depth on their characters that they've developed in these stories. So just from that, Tynion's a great writer. I've enjoyed him, and I think I'm willing to let that excitement roll over into his run on Batman. Mildly concerned because I said the exact same thing about Tom King from his work of Vision rolling over into Batman, and it's continuing to roll over the edge of the cliff. But at the same time, I am. It's going to be something fun. It's going to be something different. I think we have to be hopeful and kind of see what happens. Give the man a chance. I'm sure most readers definitely will. And then make our judgments kind of a little bit along the line.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, talking about James Tynion's Batman mission statement. Appreciate it very much, and I'll talk to you later, brother.
Sounds good, Wes. Appreciate it.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like. I would appreciate it very much. It helps us attract more views for the channel. Subscribe for future commentary, comic book news, and reviews. And don't forget to ring the bell for notifications. If you want to talk comics, movies, and much, much more, you can follow me on Twitter at Wes_from_TC. With that, Salamat Po, and I'm out.